the science they don't teach the audio codex. Thesioe 1, a structural and instructional analysis of the Book of Enoch. Welcome to the inaugural transmission of the audio codex. In this episode, we step into the archives of antiquity to examine a document that has, for centuries, existed on the periphery of the biblical world. This is not a study in theology, nor is it an invitation to religious belief. Rather, we are approaching this text as a technical manual, historical artifact of human thought that attempts to map the mechanics of the universe and the progression of time. The document in question is Book of Enoch, also known as the Ethiopic Book of Enoch. To understand why this text remains one of the most significant discoveries in the field of Second Temple studies, we must first look at the figure of Enoch himself. In the canonical book of Genesis, Enoch is a fleeting presence mentioned only in the 5th chapter. He is the 7th of the 10 pre-deluge patriarchs, the son of Jared and the father of Methuselah. While his contemporaries lived for upwards of 900 years, Enoch's life is recorded as exactly 366 years, a number that immediately alerts the attentive reader to a solar pattern. Genesis notes that Enoch walked with God, and then he was not, for God took him. This cryptic exit from history became the foundation for an entire genre of literature. If Enoch was taken by the divine, what did he see? What was he taught? The Book of Enoch serves as the answer to those questions, presenting itself not as a collection of myths, but as a systematic record of celestial physics, historical cycles, and ethical instruction. The historical context of the Enochic library. Before we dive into the structure of the text, notice how often the Book of Enoch appears in the margins of other ancient works. It was not a hidden book in its own time. Fragments found among the Dead Sea, scrolls at Qumran prove that the Enochic traditions were studied with the same intensity as the Torah or the prophets. The New Testament writers, including the authors of the Gospel of Luke and the Epistle of Jude, were clearly familiar with its contents. Jude even quotes directly from its 1st chapter. For the readers of the Second Temple period, Enoch was a bridge between the ancient patriarchs and the turbulent, political reality of the Hellenistic world. Why would a text about an antediluvian figure hold such sway? The answer lies in its claim to instructional authority. In the ancient Near East, a scribe was a guardian of law and order. By attributing these books to Enoch, the scribe of righteousness, the authors were providing a framework for understanding why the world seemed chaotic and how a hidden, underlying order still governed the movements of the stars and the destiny of nations. The architecture of the Codex. To properly visualize the structure of 1 Enoch, we must set aside the assumption that it is a single continuous story. Instead, the text should be understood as a library, a kind of Enochic Pentateuch, composed of 5 distinct instructional booklets. These sections were likely written at different times and in different historical contexts, yet they were eventually woven together into a single, cohesive instructional work. Each booklet addresses a different dimension of cosmic order, historical disruption or ethical alignment. Together, they form a complete framework for understanding how the universe functions, how disorder entered the human world, and how order is ultimately restored. The first section is known as the Book of the Watchers, encompassing chapters 1 through 36. This portion addresses angelic rebellion and the origins of chaos. Its purpose is instructional rather than mythic, explaining how the disruption of natural and social order began through the unauthorized transmission of specialized knowledge from the celestial realm to humanity. The second section is the Book of Parables, covering chapters 37 through 71. This portion presents a series of visionary discourses centered on judgment and the figure often described as the Son of Man. Its instructional function is to illustrate what the text portrays as a great reversal of power, in which existing political and cosmic hierarchies are overturned. The third section is the astronomical book, contained in chapters 72 through 82. This section outlines the movements of the sun, moon, and stars in precise detail. Its purpose is to teach celestial physics and establish the 364-day solar calendar as the only correct measurement of time, governed by mathematical consistency rather than human observation. The fourth section is the Book of Dream Visions, spanning chapters 83 through 90. This portion retells human history through symbolic animal allegories. Its pedagogical aim is to map the progression of human civilization as a predictable biological cycle, governed by natural hierarchies rather than random political events. The final section is the Epistle of Enoch, found in chapters 91 through 108. This portion applies the cosmic laws, revealed earlier in the text, to ethical behavior and future generations. It includes the 10-week historical prophecy and functions as a testamentary transfer of instruction, ensuring that the principles of order are preserved beyond Enoch's lifetime. As we move through these sections, a repeated emphasis on pattern and repetition becomes impossible to ignore. The text does not preach or persuade. Instead, it invites observation. It asks the listener to look at the sky, to look at history, and to look at the earth itself, and to recognize that the same laws govern all of them without exception. The curriculum of the fallen. Azazel taught metallurgy, weaponry, and cosmetics. This enabled large-scale warfare and altered human aesthetics. Semjaza taught enchantments and root cutting, also known as pharmacology. This led to the corruption of medicine and natural biology. Harmaros taught the resolving of enchantments or counter-sorcery. This caused the proliferation of the occult as a technology of control. Barakijal taught astrology, or predictive stargazing. This marked a shift from observing God's order to manipulating fate. Kokabil taught knowledge of the constellations. This resulted in a divergence from the divine solar calendar. Ezekiel taught meteorology, described as the signs of the clouds. This represented an attempted human mastery over the weather. Shamsiel taught the signs of the sun. This led to the misinterpretation of the primary luminary's laws. Sariel taught the courses of the moon. This created reliance on the lunar cycle over the stable solar cycle. Why would this matter to an ancient reader? Notice how these sins are actually the foundations of civilization: ironworking, medicine, fashion, and navigation. The Book of Enoch frames these advancements not as gifts of human ingenuity, but as forbidden knowledge that humanity was not yet ethically prepared to handle. It suggests that when technology outpaces moral order, the result is a pandemic of violence and lawlessness. The text presents the Great Flood not merely as a punishment, but as a necessary reset, a way to scrub the earth of this premature, technical corruption and restore the original, slower pace of human development. The Apocalypse of Weeks. The concept of order isn't limited to the stars, it applies to human history as well. In the Epistle of Enoch, the patriarch delivers a vision known as the Apocalypse of Weeks, chapters 91 and 93. In this section, the entire span of human history from Adam to the end of time is mapped out as a sequence of 10 weeks. Notice the shift in how history is perceived. We often think of history as a series of random choices made by kings and conquerors, but in the audio codex of Enoch, history is more like a pre-recorded tape. It has already been written on the tablets of heaven, and Enoch has simply been allowed to read the script, the 10-week historical sequence. Week 1 is the birth of Enoch. 7th from Adam, representing the era of judgment and righteousness. Week 2 is the Great Flood, associated with Noah, representing the first consummation of wickedness. Week 3 is the Call of Abraham, representing the selection of the plant of righteousness. Week 4 is the giving of the law to Moses, representing the establishment of the tabernacle and law. Week 5 is Solomon's temple, representing the building of the house of glory and the kingdom. Week 6 is the exile and destruction of the temple, representing the scattering of the chosen root. Week 7 is the apostate generation, a period of deceit and Hellenistic influence. Week 8 is the restoration of righteousness, representing the building of an eschatological temple. Week 9 is the world judgment, where sin is written off for eternal destruction. Week 10 is the celestial, new creation, representing the passing away of the old heaven and new stars. Each week represents an epoch defined not by years but by a major transition in the plant of righteousness. For the ancient reader, this provided an immense sense of stability. If you were living during the 7th week, a time of political corruption and war, you didn't have to panic. You knew that the 8th week of restoration was mathematically next on the schedule. The apocalypse of weeks transforms history into a predictable science. It suggests that even the darkest moments, like the burning of the temple in the 6th week, were necessary steps in a larger symmetrical plan. The animal apocalypse history as biological hierarchy. This same obsession with historical patterns is reflected in the Book of Dream, visions through the animal apocalypse chapters, 85 to 90. This is one of the most unique allegories in ancient literature. It recounts the history of Israel from Adam to the Hasmonean period, but replaces every human figure with an animal. Why use animals? Consider the instructional power of a metaphor. Thus, by stripping away human names and politics, the author can focus on the character and status of the groups involved.